Hi, welcome to Take 5, a daily Bible time studying the New Testament by chapters. Today's February 21st, and we're in Acts 14. They spent a long time there speaking boldly with reliance upon the Lord, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace. Acts 14, verse 3. Acts 13 tells of the first missionary journey and how from the outset the Jews rejected the message of Paul and Barnabas. Paul declared the words of salvation from then on would be directed toward Gentiles rather than the Jews, and even through today, the Jewish world has never believed Jesus to be the Messiah. Chapter 14 picks up with how in each successive stop from then on, when the disciples entered the synagogue each Sabbath, they were always met with opposition from the Jews. Many who, when faced with continued resistance, will throw up their hands in defeat. And this is particularly seen in spiritual matters. When faced with challenges in living for Christ, many will give up on it and return to their old lifestyles. The disciples give a strong example of how to stand up to spiritual resistance. They spoke boldly with reliance upon the Lord, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace. The reason many have fear of speaking out for the Lord is their trusting in themselves and their own knowledge, and since many are low in spiritual aptitude, their lack of equipage causes them to shy when confronted with spiritual battle. We tend to be uncomfortable in spheres where we have little or no knowledge. I personally shy from men's groups because I lack sports knowledge, how to repair a carburetor. I don't know. I don't like hunting or fishing. I don't feel like I fit into the average men's group. Those who do are comfortable with such topics and speak of them fluently. But bring in the Bible and there's an immediate shutting down. We all hate the idea of looking dumb or ignorant. It is true we need to make effort in growing spiritually. A car's tank must be filled with gas in order for it to run. But if you are one who loves the Lord and puts some effort into Bible reading and prayer, then rely on God's indwelling Spirit to give you what you need at the right moment. Proverbs says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." God has no intention of leaving his saints stranded, for what glory will that bring him? In the focus verse, the disciples were speaking boldly with reliance upon the Lord, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace. They were relying on God, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace. God was backing up what was being said. Missionary Francis Chan recently experienced this, and it startled him, yet it was only God fulfilling his word as recorded in chapter 14, verse 3. The Pharisees were jealous of the disciples. They wanted them out of the way. We don't give enough consideration of this being a spiritual world in which we live. This was the aim of Paul's words he wrote to the Ephesians. Listen to how Ephesians 2 opens in the Message version. It wasn't so long ago that you were mired in that old stagnant life of sin. You let the world, which doesn't know the first thing about living, tell you how to live. You filled your lungs with polluted unbelief and then exhaled disobedience. We all did it, all of us doing what we felt like doing when we felt like doing it, all of us in the same boat. The air we breathe is polluted spiritual air. Satan is the ruler of this age, and he wishes to keep people away from God. So much of movies deal with science fiction, fantasy, and the unbelievable, so to make it all seem like make-believe. And this will keep the average mind seeing the world of God also as being unreal. But the spiritual world is very real, and spiritual warfare is very genuine. When you received Christ as Savior, you didn't grow a tail or wings, so it's not a physical change. You weren't suddenly airlifted to some location where only Christians live. But there was a change within you that made you a new person, a new creation. And we are to battle against spiritual forces of darkness. Most Christians give little, if any, consideration to living as a spiritual person, and that is what keeps them weak and without devotion to God. They are much more comfortable in the lost world. It's time to change, to quit being weak and resistant to God. The more you rely on God and walk in His ways, the more you will witness His works and His moving in ways that can be accomplished only by Him. But you must walk in Him and rely on Him to have life work that way. Thanks for being here today. Now may God's grace and peace be ours as we seek to live our utmost for His highest. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.